sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for The Conversation, meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. Yeah, and Joe King Carter. But if you say it real fast, it comes out like Joking Carter. No, this man does not tell jokes. He is dead serious when he comes on the air each and every Wednesday. And there he's laughing. Joe, you blew my cover. You blew my cover.
I started a joke which started the whole world laughing.
Ha ha. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you as we do each and every Wednesday, midday. We are The Conversation. My name is Mario Nunez, and I'm seated alongside my broadcast partner, Joe King Carter. And we just enjoy so much you being with us each and every Wednesday to take you through the midweek hump day, hump hour of the week. As we like to say, after this show is over, it's all downhill, and we're racing towards the weekend. Now, all of that said, so much going on in the news these days. Joey, we talked about it. We talk about it at the top of each show. We kind of do a real quick encapsulation of the hottest and most important items in the news. And, of course, the World Cup is still going on, but the USA laid an egg the other night. Did you watch it all, Joey?
No.
Surprises no one. But let me just go ahead and say that we know Joey's not a big sports guy.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, when the President of the United States gets involved in things, boy, do things go south. He made a call, Joey. He made a call to the president of FIFA, and he asked them to reverse a red card, which was unprecedented. Not unprecedented,
I heard about this.
Highly unusual. Yes. And, of course, he jinxed it all, and we lost 4-1. And those things are prone to happen.
You know what I call this?
Tell me.
We've heard of the Midas touch.
Oh.
Yeah. He has the minus touch.
Come on, Joey. You stayed up all night thinking about that.
No, that's
right off
fresh
the dome?
off the hot, right off the skillet.
Right off the dome.
Listen, folks, everything he touches goes minus.
Or turns into poo-poo. Either one. I don't know which it is. Yeah. You can say that because that's not one of the 7 dirty words you can't say on the radio. Poo-poo. It's a funny word, by the way. Funny word. Yeah. So today you're in for a special treat, as we do have about every 8 to 10 weeks, whenever he's available and he calls us and says, guys, I'm ready to come in and do another show. Dr. Bob Lotke is going to be joining us in just a minute. We want to set this up.
I'm excited.
Oh, man, so am I. I'm looking right at him, and he's ready to go. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
But we're going to do a little something different today on The Conversation. We're going to ask and solicit for your phone calls. We're going to ask that you call in and answer 2 questions, 2 quick questions, and they are thus. Are you tired, as we are here, of this constant drumbeat of war? Ever since the American Revolution, the Civil War, World War I, II, Korea, Vietnam, it just seems like we can't get out of those Chinese finger cuffs and our affinity for war. So the question is, call in and let us know. Are you a fan of the bravado and the machismo that goes along with American supremacy and our war machine? Or would you rather us maybe take a page off of John Lennon's playbook and back up a little bit and be a little kinder, gentler? So warmongering, yes or no? That's part 1. And part 2 is, how do you feel about fireworks? We have an opinion here on the show that says a little something like this. If you had a grandparent, a great-grandparent that suffered through the bombings of England in World War II, or throughout Western Europe, as it were, Poland, so on and so forth, would you be so apt to rush out and spend $1,500 on fireworks and just couldn't wait to shoot them off on July 4th? So fireworks, yes or no? Those are the 2 questions. Mm-hmm. The number that you can call, because operators are standing by, is 813-239-9663. 813-239-9663. Our glorious operator is standing by, Gabrielle. She's waiting to take your phone calls. Now, Joey, do us an honor, man. Do us the honor.
Yeah, well, listen, first of all, so the rules to that are, we're not asking for people necessarily to call in and speak with us because we have Bob here, but they're going to hit that survey.
Yep.
All right, folks. All right, now let's move on to the next order of business. Dr. Bob Lotke.
Yeah.
Let me just say, for those of you who may not know, you've lived in a cave, or maybe you haven't been a regular listener of WMNF over the years, I'm going to reintroduce Bob. It's not necessary, but I feel I should do it. Dr. Bob Lotke is an interesting man for sure. He was for many, many years the professor and department chair of journalism and mass comm at Murray State University. in Kentucky, is the producer of the award-winning Christmas in the 50s show, 2-hour radio show, the Eisenhower Hour. He has owned media stations in his life. And most notably, for those of you who are regulars at WMNF as listeners, you may know him as the man who for many years commandeered the 60s show every Saturday afternoon. A huge favorite of mine as well. And I was always a big fan of Bob as he was doing that, Dr. Bob. And so we have with us here this afternoon, Dr. Bob Lochte.
Hey, thank you guys. I really appreciate your including me, and we will try not to mess it up, okay? Okay. What is everybody talking about right now other than politics?
The aforementioned war machine, perhaps?
No.
The heat and humidity.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah.
The weather.
But
the weather.
remember, Bob, it's not the heat so much as it is the stupidity.
Yes,
just
right.
I got you. Well, I thought, we're going to be doing an anti-war message here in a little bit, but I thought we might start with the song kind of about the weather.
Okay.
And
Sounds good.
this is probably the most famous one. It was, and you'll know it. George Gershwin wrote this, George and his brother Ira. They, back in 1933, I believe it was, they embarked on a really challenging production. Gershwin at that time, probably one of the most famous composers in America of the early 20th century. They wanted to write and produce an opera. And that not only did they want to do an opera, they wanted to stage this opera on Broadway instead of in the Metropolitan Opera House. They wanted for general audiences to enjoy this opera. Okay, they took a stage play by a playwright named DuBose Hayward. And the other challenge was that this play had an all African-American cast in the 1930s. Mm-hmm. And, how they made this work, you never know, but it was just really genius. It debuted in Broadway 1934, 35, I believe. Anyhow, this is the most famous song from that opera. And the lyrics are a poem that were written by Hayward. And, of course, it's summertime. And everybody's heard it because it's been recorded thousands of times, probably more than any other song, any other American song. I did see an estimate that it has generated more than $30 million in royalties.
Wow.
For the Gershwin estate.
Wow.
So it's been performed a lot too. Anyhow, so this is the first popular recording of Summertime from 1936, and it's Billie Holiday. from the opera Porgy and Bess, that summertime.
There we
with that
go,
wonderful
yeah.
song.
Dr.
huh?
Bob, you can't help but hear that wonderful clarinet. Who was tickling the clarinet there?
Yeah, I
in that
love
piece?
that. I like that one because it's a Dixieland arrangement. That's in my blood.
It
But,
is, it
that
is.
was Artie Shaw.
Okay.
That was band leader Artie Shaw. And that's another kind of interesting thing. That was an integrated studio group there behind
Right,
Billie Holiday.
right. Wow.
And of course, Artie had a great big band and so forth. So anyhow, a little warm weather treat for us to open the show. But let's get into the subject of the of the rest of the hour, which is the subject for the mission.
Our
of the
mission, our
radio
monthly
station.
mission here at WMNF is anti-war and human rights.
That's right. And we're going to talk about both of them. So
Absolutely.
I think, I'm not positive about this, but I think this is the first recorded anti-war song in America.
Wow.
I believe it's from 1915.
Oh, yeah, World
So
War
it's
I.
really old. And the group is the Peerless Quartet. You ever heard of them before?
Negative.
No. Back in the teens, that's that decade, 1910, 1919, these guys were like the Beach Boys. They were one of the hottest groups around. And this particular tune was a #1 record, which is kind of, really didn't keep track of everything then, but records were there to sell sheet music.
Right.
And the sales of the sheet music are the big thing.
Were the
So
reflection of
combine-
the popularity.
So they didn't really have a top 100 as we came to know.
No. There was
Or
no
a top
Billboard
40.
magazine or something like that.
Right.
But there's a fellow named Joel Whitburn who's done research on the Billboard charts and so forth, published, umpteen books and so forth. He came up with a formula for things before Billboard started charting things to figure out what was popular and what was not and so forth. Anyhow, he declared this to be a #1 record. It's from 1915, and let me set up a little context on this, because in 1914 something happened. War broke out in Europe, and it involved almost every nation on the continent and their colonial empires worldwide. So it's called the Great War, and then eventually the World War, or the First World War. So President Wilson, his advisors, the members of Congress, and the general public in the United States was not interested. They said, let's let them fight it out and stay out of it. So anti-war sentiment was public opinion at that time, and they were following that. So anyhow, this is the song that the Peerless Quartet recorded in 1915. It's called "I Didn't Raise My Boy to Be a Soldier."
Soldiers to the war have gone, who may never return again. 10 million mothers' hearts must break for the one who died in vain. Heads bowed down in sorrow in her lonely years, I heard a mother murmur through her tears, I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier, I brought him up to be my pride and joy, who dared to place a musket on his shoulder, to shoot some other mother's darling boy. The nations of a race, their future trouble, it's time to lay the sword and gun away. There'd be no war today if mothers all would say, I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier. What victory can cheer a mother's heart when she looks at her blighted home? What victory can bring her back all she cares to call her own? Let each mother answer in the years to be, remember that my boy belongs to me. I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier, I brought him up to be my pride and joy, who dared to place a musket on his shoulder, to shoot some other mother's darling boy. Let nations of a race their future trouble, It's time to lay the sword and gun away. There'd be no war today if mothers all would say, I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier. I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier. I brought him up to be my pride and joy. Who dares to place a musket on his shoulder to shoot some other mother's darling boy? Let nations arbitrate their future trouble. It's time to lay the sword and gun away. There'd be no war today if mothers all would say, I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier.
Wow.
do you
That's all
think,
I can
huh?
say.
That's
That's
a
all
wow.
I can say. I mean, mother's heart.
By the way, I have two quick responses.
Sure.
Number one, I have owned their faucets before, Peerless. And number two is that, well, maybe three. Great piccolo being
Oh, yeah,
played there,
yeah.
but which was very prominent.
Sounds like a
at that
recorder.
time.
Yeah, of course.
And
Fife and drum.
Piccolo and tuba.
Yeah,
fife and drum.
absolutely. Yeah, fife and drum. And then the other thing is, it does bring up a more profound issue you would not think it would, is what would happen if the world were run by only, not just women, mothers.
Yes,
100%.
absolutely. And we're
Mothers.
We're going to get back to that home front thing in just a little bit here.
Can I add to Joe's commentary?
ahead.
Couldn't you just the people that are out there listening? Couldn't you just see the RCA Victor dog with his head cocked as that sound was coming through the Vitrola? You know, couldn't you?
Yeah.
1915. Couldn't you just see
Hand
that?
cranked.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could
because
hear
everything was mechanical. There was no.
It was
no
like the ice
electricity
cream,
for
all
those
hand
things.
cranked. Yeah.
Well, what happens next is kind of interesting. Wilson runs for re-election in 1916, is re-elected and fairly comfortable margin. One of his slogans was "He kept us out of war," and that was one of the premises that he ran on and won. So, well, then something happened. The Germans started sinking our ships. And the newspapers got involved because war news was still big news, and when they're attacking us, then all of a sudden newspapers can publish extra editions each day and make more
Sell
money
more,
and so
yeah.
forth.
The bully pulpit.
The newspaper started calling the Germans the Huns, and having just vicious
Cartoon artistry was going crazy.
And so propaganda is what it was, but public opinion changed very quickly about the war. And we got into it. And in 1917, this is only 2 years later, the Peerless Quartet had another #1 record.
Give him the gun.
No, the Yanks are coming over there.
There you go.
That was another #1
The
record.
Yanks are coming.
But the relationship between the media and public opinion and our opinions about war is extremely important. Of course, at that time, there was no radio, there was no TV, there was no Instagram. You know, newspapers were the media, and
Absolutely.
they could sway public opinion, and in fact, they did.
And that's what got us into the Spanish-American War, because
Absolutely.
William Randolph Hearst used the explosion of the Maine in the harbor of Cuba to say, "Hey, we have to,
He used it to sell newspapers, is what he did.
Well,
so-
he sold newspapers,
Yeah.
but he also influenced the Congress and the president eventually, and public opinion
Oh, sure,
through his
sure,
newspapers.
sure,
So that was his
absolutely.
bully pulpit. Absolutely.
Probably
Yeah.
where we got the phrase the first time. Extra, extra.
Yeah.
Read all about it.
Well, okay. We're going to move on now. We're going to get into the Vietnam era, which is, I think, when we think about the anti-war movement, we kind of think about Vietnam and so forth, even though there were other wars. I think generally World War II.
In our lifetime, that was.
Yeah. Well, World War II, I think public opinion was definitely in favor of, they've attacked us. We got to do something about it.
Evil was clear in World War II.
Yeah, I think so. Korea, well, we'll get back into that in just a little bit. But this is a song. Do you remember Phil Ochs?
Oh, absolutely.
Phil Ochs, the folk singer and songwriter. He and Bob Dylan had a very interesting relationship back and forth. But anyhow, Phil wrote a lot of anti-war songs, and he was into this before there was really a movement. He was writing anti-war songs before, there was still a protest movement, but it was mostly civil rights at this point, early 60s. So this is a song from 65 by Phil Ochs. And again, this predates most of the Vietnam War protests, but it's a song that people would sing over and over and over again at those protests because it really wasn't anti-war. It was anti-draft. Mm-hmm. And as we find out, the draft, which is a holdover from World War II, is really what made the Vietnam War possible. Mm-hmm. Because, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Anyhow, but why don't we listen to this one from Phil Ochs? It's called The Draft Dodger Rag.
Oh, I'm just a typical American boy from a typical American town. I believe in God and Senator Dodd, and I keep an old Castro down. And when it came my time to serve, I knew better dead than red. But when I got to my old draft board, buddy, this is what I said. Sarge, I'm only 18, I got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I've got eyes like a bat, and my feet are flat, and my asthma's getting worse. Yes, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm a-going to school, and I'm a-working in a defense plant. I got a dislocated disc and a racked up back. I'm allergic to flowers and bugs. And when the bombshell hits, I get epileptic fits, and I'm addicted to 1,000 drugs. I got the weakness woes, I can't touch my toes, I can hardly reach my knees. And if the enemy came close to me, oh, I'd probably start to sneeze. I'm only 18, got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I've got eyes like a bat, and my feet are flat, and my asthma's getting worse. Yes, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm a-going to school, and I'm a-working in a defense plant. Ooh, I hate show and lie, and I hope he dies. But one thing you gotta see, that someone's gotta go over there, and that someone isn't me. So I wish you well, Sarge, give him hell. Kill me 1,000 or so. And if you ever get a war without blood and gore, I'll be the first to go. Yes, I'm only 18, I got a ruptured spleen, and I always carry a purse. I've got eyes like a bat, and my feet are flat, and my asthma's getting worse. Yes, think of my career, my sweetheart dear, my poor old invalid aunt. Besides, I ain't no fool, I'm a-going to school, and I'm working in a defense plant.
Yep.
You're listening to The Conversation. It's Wednesday midday, about 12:30. This is about the time when we do a little station ID. Why don't we do that for you now?
Hi, I'm Madeline Robinson from Wheelchairs for Kids, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5 FM, Tampa.
Oh, Madeline, thanks so much for being here last week. That was a really good show. If you'd like to go back into the archives and plug into that one.
Angels doing work.
And learn all about wheelchairs for kids.
Absolutely.
And, of course, how Mario Nunez is going to get locked up next Friday unless, and he's going to stay there unless I can raise $3,000 in bail. So you guys go to my Facebook page and help me out. Today we're listening to Dr. Bob Lotke, who joins us every now and again, and we just wish he would join us more often, and he will. He promised he will. Today we're talking about everything that's having to do with war and protest and anti-war songs, in keeping with our monthly mission statement here at WMNF. And this we just left 1965.
Yeah.
This was just before we got introduced to Creedence Clearwater Revival, and I ain't no senator's son, but that's when most of us started to really get conscious about these songs.
Yeah,
Joan Baez and so forth.
I remember anti-war protests from like 68 on, big ones and so forth.
There you go.
But it was not, it really wasn't a nationwide thing. It was, we had, again, media coverage of these big protest march. Mm-hmm. And I was in college up in New England, and it was a big deal there. But my friends that were back in Tennessee, like at the University of Tennessee, 35,000 students, a protest march might draw a couple of hundred.
Right.
So it was interesting. But public opinion, again, how things shift and so forth. We had probably one of the most powerful presidents in the history of the United States, LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson. He was elected by a huge landslide in 64. And really he used his power, I think, very effectively for the cause of human rights and social
Civil
justice.
rights, sure.
He did a lot of things right, but he didn't really understand what was going on in Vietnam, and I don't think most people did. And so around 67 or so, the media starts saying, well, wait a minute, what's happening here? Why are we sending more troops and we're not
More
getting
money.
anywhere here? Yeah. And what, the ugly truth was, in effect, we thought we were fighting the Soviet Union, Communist China, in a proxy war, but in fact, we were involved in a very vicious civil war in Vietnam, and we were on the losing side. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that, in retrospect.
South Vietnam, right?
But this ugly truth about Vietnam began to come out, and LBJ said, "I'm not going to run again. I'm not. I can't defend this." And I think it was a terrible moment for him. Mm-hmm. And again, he kind of goes down as like a tragic figure in war. But anyhow, with the draft, you could constantly feed more troops. And over time, there were 2.7 million American troops that served in Vietnam. And with the draft, we all knew people.
100%.
You knew people who were going to Vietnam, who were in Vietnam, who
didn't come back.
I
from
will
Vietnam.
reveal my age. I was literally waiting to be drafted.
Yeah.
I had a draft
me too.
number. Yeah.
I had a draft number too. I stayed in college.
Yes.
And I carried a purse and all that. But anyhow.
And I will say that the only time in my life that I thought I could literally kiss Richard Nixon on the lips was when he ended the war.
Yes.
When he pulled out, it was a glorious moment.
Yeah, and it took him probably too long.
Yes, it did. Absolutely.
Because
Too many lives.
The peak of troops, number of troops, it was 1969.
There you go.
Which was the Nixon administration. There were more than 500,000 troops. Mm-hmm. And we all knew people there. Unfortunately, nearly 60,000 Americans died, and there were more than 300,000 wounded, and there were probably 75,000, 80,000 that were disabled and so forth. So, so this is going on, and I'm not sure we were really thinking about the home front during this period, because the young folks that were really hip about this were out there protesting, and the politicians were trying to respond to this as best they could. And meanwhile, the Republicans were beginning to take over what used to be the Democratic Party in the South, and so the politics was all swirling and changing. George Wallace was running for president and so forth. It was a messy time in our lives, and it's particularly because I grew up in the South, and Southerners, I don't know if they went along with the war, but they were very very much in favor of our armed services.
Right.
And so in addition to the draft, you had a number of states like Tennessee, Louisiana, and so forth. People would just go join up because they thought it was their duty to do so.
Dr. Bob, you still had kids. These were the baby boomers.
Yeah.
You still had kids whose grandfathers served honorably in World War I,
Sure.
whose fathers might have been at the end of World War II.
Yeah, sure.
They felt it was like their honor and their mission to do that.
Absolutely. And this is kind
They
of
were ripe for the picking.
Well, this is reflected kind of in country music at this time, that you didn't really have many country songs about the war. And most of the ones you had were patriotic. You know, they were
Proud to be
waving
an
the flag
American.
and so forth. This is a different one, though. I found this one, and I'd heard it before, and I hadn't heard it in a long time, but it's Loretta Lynn. She actually wrote this song, and it really is about anxiety on the home front during Vietnam. And 1966, it was a hit, top 10 hit in country charts. It's a very interesting song because, as I say, country music generally stayed away from the war songs, and this is a different take on it. So anyhow, let's hear "Dear Uncle Sam."
Dear Uncle Sam, I know you're a busy man, and tonight I write to you through tears with a trembling hand. My darling answered when he got that call from you. You said you really need him, but you don't need him like I do. me old red, white, and blue. While I wear a heartache since he left me for you. Dear Uncle Sam, I just got your telegram, and I can't believe that this is me, shaken like I am. For it said, I'm sorry to inform you.
Taps brilliantly injected into that song, infused into that song.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Tragic, sad, but touching and moving.
Yeah.
And Loretta Lynn's voice was brilliant right there.
And by the way, I got to say, unashamedly, unabashedly unashamed, that I just adore and love country music. And
well, I kind of grew up with it, so
but I just love it. And that song just made me feel just all, it's a.
Did you make it feel all gooey
It's
inside, Joe?
it's a Georgia Carter thing, son. I'm telling you right now, that's some good stuff right there. And that's a coal miner's daughter right there.
Oh my God, Loretta Lynn.
Dobie Gillis show. Maynard G. Krebs would say, "I'm getting kind of misty, Dobie."
Yeah, there you go.
Word.
But yeah, I mean, so that's an anti-war song.
Absolutely.
And it was inserted into the country music rotation, and so there is this simmering public opinion about the war that's not necessarily related to the news headlines, because so many people were involved personally in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be also a little bit, Dr. Bob, that we were still reeling from, just 6 years prior losing President Kennedy, and 1 year prior losing Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy? So I mean, we're just like, what is going on?
It was a chaotic environment, but but also again, this kind of has to do with the justification for Vietnam. You got to remember, 1962, we had the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right.
So, we did consider the Soviet Union to be a threat.
Yes.
Correct. And to a certain extent, we considered Communist China to be a threat in Asia, not necessarily to our shores and so forth. So there was this anti-communist sentiment that was behind the war effort.
And another thing, Dr. Bob, I have to interrupt, another thing that stands out in my mind because I lived it is that, and this is right in your wheelhouse, is that we had not yet learned how to media manage war.
No.
And I was sitting with my parents watching Walter Cronkite
and that body count,
counting the bag. They had video of the bags being offloaded onto the
they had a
docks.
tally every night. They would show that video.
And so today we don't see the young men and women who are being killed in our wars.
LBJ was watching that too.
Yes.
And his comment was, "I've lost Cronkite. I've lost the nation."
That's right.
And I think that's when he decided he wasn't going to run again.
That's right.
So again, the public opinion, the involvement of the media, and even, back then we didn't have satellite communications. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have portable videotape production. Mm-hmm. So anything that you saw was film and had to be
processed,
go to a lab and processed. So maybe 48 hours before you could get that on the air if you're really wealthy and so forth. But we did have cable communications. So again, the newspapers, the radio, and so forth was still pretty important. But when television started covering Vietnam, I think it made a big difference. It made a big difference for everybody and so forth. So, well, I don't know. You've got this poll going on now.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bob.
I
do. Before we get off the air today, we're taking a very scientific and unscientific poll simultaneously. We'd like to know, how do you guys feel out there that are listening? How do you feel about this warmongering footing that the United States seems to not be able to rid itself of? And, we battle with this because we want to stand up and salute the flag. Nobody wants to be unpatriotic. But at the same time, it's like, can't we do something better with our resources? And do we really think we're going to bully our way around the world? So call us, 813-239-9663, and answer that question. How do you feel about our warmongeringness? Made that word right up. Also, two-part question, how do you feel about fireworks? Because I'm of the firm belief, really and truthfully, and thank goodness it rained before these fireworks went off the other night, because we might have had fires everywhere and unable to put any of them out. How do you feel about fireworks? Because we believe here on the panel that if you had a grandparent or great-grandparent or any loved one that might have lived through some of the bombings of World War II, you might be, or any of the cities that are being, if you just came over from Kyiv and, you've been subject to those bombings that are going on today.
Or it doesn't have to be a grandparent. It could be someone right now, a contemporary who served in Iraq, who is suffering PTSD right now on the streets of America.
How do you know anybody that's suffering from that? Call us and just give us yes or no. How do you feel about fireworks?
Okay, and after this next, I've got one more tune for you.
Please.
But after that, I'd like to get the results of that.
Yes,
see if we can find out how people feel and so forth. Because the effects of Vietnam, as you mentioned, lingered for quite a while. And I've got a song about that by Charlie Daniels, as a matter of fact. It's kind of a country rock.
CDB, as it were.
Yeah.
Charlie Daniels Band.
In 1980, the American Psychological Association introduced a brand new psychiatric diagnosis and treatment procedures for a condition that they called post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, that you talk about and so forth. And what they had found is that hundreds of thousands of Vietnam vets were suffering from this. And the percentage rate was higher for women than it was for men, PTSD. And you don't think about that many women serving in Vietnam. I have a friend up in Maine who was a nurse in a MASH unit in Vietnam.
They're in the theater too?
Horrible stories and so forth. So anyhow, it was a known psychological condition, and this is a song about that from the Charlie Daniels Band from 1982, and it's called "Still in Saigon."
CDB, that's the Charlie Daniels Band. Two things came to mind as I was listening. What a rocking tune. What a rocking tune. I could almost hear Firefall singing that too. Sure. And I could also hear Rodney Justo's band, local band, Cuckoo Cuckoo, rocking that song out. Yeah. But listen, Charlie Daniels in the last few years has lost his mind completely because he went over to the dark side. But before that, the devil went down to Georgia and still in Saigon. Come on now. Come on, Charlie.
Yeah.
Kid Rock, the same thing. Kid Rock, before he lost his mind. Kid Rock used to produce some pretty good music. Then he lost his mind.
Well, there you go. By the way, I saw Charlie Daniels Band perform that song live.
What a great song. I had forgotten about it. I heard it, but I forgot.
I saw that band in concert.
Thank you, Doctor, for bringing that song in.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about Charlie. Charlie was a sessions guitar player in Nashville before he started his own band. And
was that him ripping right there? You think that was him?
Well, actually, the lead guitar was a guy I went to high school with. His name is Tom Crane.
Come on.
And it's that twin guitar on that. Charlie's one guitar, and Tom did most of the lead there. And every bit as good as the Allman Brothers, I think. That twin guitar thing.
Very reminiscent of that as well.
Yeah. So anyhow, but that's a very powerful message there.
Absolutely.
And it because of the lingering effect of war on the participants, it's kind of made us rethink a lot of things.
Peeping around behind every door. Remember, he said that, and that was one of the lyrics.
Well, let me just say very quickly that my mother had 7 brothers. 5 of my uncles served in either World War II or in Korea, and they all came back, and there's no other way to say this, incredibly damaged. At a time, and they called it then shell shock. And they came back damaged with alcoholism, inabilities to connect with anybody emotionally. Tragic, all of them. So I grew up knowing that war had its ugly influence on people after the fact.
Well, my father was World War II generation, and most of his peers were. And what I noticed most is that they never talked about it. They would never talk about the war, even amongst themselves. And
because it was horrible. The things they saw and experienced must have been just horrible.
Oh, I think so.
And also another thing that I did get a glimpse from one of my uncles, which was that they were fighting people that looked like them. We were fighting Germans in World War II, and most of our wars have been against brown people in the world, and we were killing blue-eyed blonde boys ourselves. And
in Europe, we sure were. And this is another thing. Back to World War I, and the Hun designation by propaganda and so forth. At that time, German Americans were probably the largest European immigrant group in America.
Interesting.
So there was a lot of cognitive dissonance there, and I know for a fact in Midwestern cities, Cincinnati, St. Louis, there were big German neighborhoods, and they changed the name of streets.
Wow!
It had German names. They gave them English names or numbered streets or something like that. So,
wow!
So there was a reaction, but there was. I always wondered how people in that German American community felt about all that and so forth. So
we had the German club here in Ybor City.
Absolutely.
So they were a big part of the fabric of Ybor City in the early days. The photographers and the box
of the
makers.
5 major groups that formed Ybor City, the Germans, which were attracted to the community by the cigar manufacturers because they needed printers to print those beautiful cigar labels and cigar bands that people collect today. Well, the greatest lithographers in the world in the late 1800s were German. So that's why we have a German influence in Ybor City's.
That's interesting. Well, you should know that.
Yes, I should know that. And there are those who will tell you that the Swiss cheese, pickles, and mustard on the Cuban sandwich is actually the German contribution.
I believe so, too.
Yeah.
I believe so, too, and I love those sandwiches, too. But that's okay, we want to get to our poll here in just a little bit.
Yes.
So we can get some results and so forth. But I want to interject a little something personal.
Sure.
Please.
In my life. And this has to do with the Korean War. Because that's kind of where we started. I think, I'm not anti-war. I think if we're attacked, we should be defending the country, the citizens, our way of life. But I don't think we should be using our military to advance the economic and political interest of the country. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of where we are.
Yes.
And Korea was kind of a question mark because, again, communist influence, or where the Soviets going to take over Europe, or, the communist Chinese going to take over Asia and so forth. And the day the Korean War began, you know what day that was? I do.
No.
Your birthday.
June 25th, 1950, which was my birthday.
How did I guess that?
June 25th, 1950 was my birthday. And that war has never ended.
Yes.
That war is still going on. We had an armistice. We never had a treaty.
Yes.
And you still, about once a month, you hear about North Korea's got missiles or something like that.
Like the Seminole Indian War.
And I really would
that one
like,
hasn't ended.
I really would like in my lifetime
For that war to end.
for that war to come to an end. They talk about our longest American wars, and that's definitely it. But that's, again, a personal statement, though.
Dr. Bob, if we can get leadership to change in Tallahassee, then Joe and I will join you on the caravan, and we'll go up there and talk to the governor. Maybe that new governor will have an opportunity to bring something up about officially making a declaration. We got to change a lot of things in this country, but that could be one of the things that we could. That's an easy fix. That's just
Maybe
an easy
so.
fix.
I mean, but you got to sit down and do a treaty.
That's it.
And,
Right.
and a treaty is a give and take situation. So,
And now our relations with
That part of the world is just ruined. Damaged.
North Korea is most interesting, isn't it? Because of our current regime here in America.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I again, I don't want to get too deep into this.
Sure.
But we seem to be doing. It's not. I won't say it's a positive effect, but reconsidering the number of troops that we have overseas. Well, I mean, good Lord, we have 220,000 U.S. military personnel overseas at military bases, and they're not just in Europe or they're all over the world.
They're everywhere.
I just read last night that we have 800 bases.
Oh yeah.
800 bases.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, you know what the next country that has the most bases is? You know how many they have outside of their country?
They have 15.
5.
Fine.
So here's another
Five.
Yep.
here's another fun question to ponder. So if
Yeah.
the United States Air Force is the most powerful Air Force in the world, and if we had to go into a dogfight with another Air Force, who do you think it would be?
I don't know.
Dr. Bob?
I would guess China, but
And some people guess Israel, and maybe even some people might guess Russia, but it's the United States Navy. I mean, who are we going to fight? Do we need that? Do we need that kind of redundancy?
I got you.
I guess
Okay.
I understand. There's land-based
Yeah, that's
operations,
true.
and there's
Okay.
operations that launch
Sure.
off the front of a ship. But
Well,
there's a lot of redundancy
Let me pose
there.
a question here real
Please.
quick, because we were talking about the draft earlier, and the draft is over. We have
Survey results coming, y'all.
Okay.
good. We have a professional military now.
Yes.
People join because they want to,
Careers.
and they get paid their career military personnel. Does that mean we have less contact with our military now? And again, we mentioned Vietnam. We all knew people because they were drafted. Now, I think people can grow up without ever knowing anyone who's served in the military.
Sterile environment, completely sterile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
And
eventually we'll have drones and AI robots that'll be
yeah.
fighting the
Yeah.
wars. And we'll just be sending them out. And I guess we have this affinity for blowing things up. Would that be a great time to get to our survey?
Fireworks, yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about the survey for a minute. They're handing me this piece of paper right here. It looks like, and we kind of knew everybody was going to, it's a home game for us. We knew that the warmongering folks were going to call in and say, no, we don't need to be on that war footing any longer. And fireworks as well. So the numbers are in, y'all. We got 17,000 callers, and that's too many, way too many. But we did get 12, which is a lot. And I may be embellishing that number just a tick. But everybody was definitely against the war situation, and we want to give fireworks a rest. Maybe, look, if we had to pick one, New Year's Eve or 4th of July, let's go with New Year's Eve, because at least it's cooler at that time of the year.
Gotcha.
And we
Less chance of-
less chance of incendiary forest fires, because Smokey, he's got enough work to do. And, it's already hot outside. It's the 4th of July, y'all. Why do we got to put fireworks inside of the 4th of July?
I got you.
Once a year, New
Yeah.
Year's.
Well, listen, here's the other thing, too. Let me just add to this my thought, and I'm happy to do that, is that my opinion is this, that everything in our lives functions because of laws and regulations. I'm sorry, folks. I know you don't like that, but that's the cornerstone of civilization. Take the laws away and you have nothing. You have barbarism. And so we don't have to get rid of fireworks, but let's have some rules about who can set them off and at what time.
100%.
Let's change that around a little bit.
100%. Leave it to the professionals.
Yeah, if you want to go to the city firework display that's happening in your community, that's a fine thing.
Not your Theo Alberto who's down the street setting off, and the Roman candles and sparklers were okay for us.
Yeah.
Now they've got these things that sound like, they could take down a house.
They sound like bombs.
Yeah, your window rattlers.
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
And maybe there's a time of night when we all want to go to bed.
11 o'clock, no
maybe
more
you could cut
fireworks.
it off at midnight or something, and we could just agree to a compromise, folks. Can we have a compromise?
I'm all for it
Joey.
myself.
Maybe, Joey. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I like compromise.
Yeah, compromise is
It's
a good way to
good.
go.
Again, another cornerstone of civilization and humanity.
Absolutely.
We got to be able to talk to the other side. We got to be able to see ourselves in their eyes, and then understand that, hey, nobody's getting out of this thing alive, brother.
Yeah.
So if I'm sitting here with, I'm gonna go fast. If I'm sitting here with a buffet, Dr. Bob, and I'm looking at you, and you got hunger in your eyes because you ain't had breakfast yet. What would it say about me if I didn't offer you something from my little buffet over here?
Got you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely.
I'm off my soapbox, y'all.
There we go.
Dr. Bob, thank you so much
listen,
for coming
thank
in.
you guys for having me. It's always fun to wander in, and it's a friendly environment.
Oh, it's the home field for you too.
Hey, we love Dr.
and you
Bob
teach
here.
us so much. Okay, when you
Yeah.
come in with your music and your
Absolutely.
lessons, we learn, and we love
Yeah.
to learn. So thank you for doing
Appreciate
that
it.
for us.
Yeah,
appreciate you saying
absolutely.
that,
And we
so.
look forward to the next time you're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Joey,
And
you
coming
can do
up-
that. Go slow. You got about a minute. Go.
Okay. Let me just
Or
say,
fast.
folks, as always, special thanks to our engineer, Jessica. She is the OG of board ops here.
Engineer extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire. And special thanks to our call taker today, Gabrielle, who had to do some...
She had to do some work today.
She had some real work she had to do back there. She's always great, by the way. And then coming up next, it's the Music Wednesday with Bam, Sam I Am.
See, you get a new nickname every
That's
week,
right.
Sam.
And I want to personally say to everybody out there, have a beautiful day, folks, and make it so.
I like that, Joey. And make it so, he says. Thank you once again, everybody, for listening. We'll be here next week, so be sure to tune in on Wednesdays to the conversation. And if you get a chance, help get Mario out of jail. I'm going to jail next week, Joey. You're listening to WMNF Tampa.